Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, the D-Unit is back. Cody Gakpo saving what has been a completely and utterly miserable Game Week 2. And many of you out there are in the same boat. I feel for you. I feel for myself. But I'm telling you, Cody Gakpo is the start of the redemption arc. And as I said in the Hangover movie, I am back. I am back. The D-Unit is back. And today I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix this mess. I'm 800,000 rank, whatever it is. But I'm telling you, next week, I'm going to be in the 7 millions at the very least. I'm going to probably take a minus 4. I'm going to talk through all that stuff and everything we learned from the weekend in my early reactions to what's happened in the game week so far. I've also got the cards calls and how it went in game week 2. So without further ado, you know what time it is. Smash that like button. Leave me a comment with what you're planning to do, whether you're playing a chip, whether you're happy with your game week, whether you got saved overnight or not. And before you go any further, if you haven't already smashed that subscribe button as well, please consider doing so now to help continue getting this out there and share this on your social medias. We need to keep this channel growing to keep all the other content creators honest to their principles. And with that being said, let's go. So let's have a look at how the team ended up in the end. And look, Cole Palmer obviously got subbed out and he is sitting there on the bench. And unfortunately, I got the benching order wrong, as I said in yesterday's video. I wish that I'd had Collins coming in instead. In fact, if I'd actually had Collins coming in off the field instead of Reindeers, I actually would have had a green arrow. That's how close that call was in terms of getting me up the rankings. It was a very small red arrow in the end. I was already 8 million something last week, and I'm only just inside the top 9 million, but that is good. Let's have a look at how the team went. So the double Nottingham Forest defence for the second week in a row conceded 1 goal, which is not ideal at all. I got the De Kuyper call wrong horribly. I should have played Collins instead of him. I was umming and ahhing on the deadline stream. That also went horribly wrong. Dorgu looked like he could be on for the clean sheet, but then they just looked poor against Fulham. That didn't work out well either. Then in the midfield, we have Bruno, missed a penalty. I mean, that could have been enough to give me a green arrow as well, but he missed a penalty and missed that double figure haul, which would have been coming if he'd scored. Reindeers obviously came off the bench, and there's a reason why I benched him, because I didn't think he was going to go overly well against Tottenham, and it turned out that was correct. Up front, it was Eva Nilsson with 2 points, disappointing. Didn't even have a shot in that game, which again is concerning. Jared Bowen and West Ham, again, they were horrible. Ollie Watkins, even worse. We're going to talk about them in a little bit, those two particular assets and what I'm thinking about them in my own team. Then on the bench, the card said to call the bench boost, and it wasn't wrong because 3 points from Juve, last man on the bench, Collins of a 9-pointer, and Dubravka was 6. Is Dubravka going to get 6 again this year? Probably not. I butchered it. That was the week to play it. I didn't play it. And then the only 2 people that returned were Saka, who scored. So I got that right. He was better. He was the better captaincy call out of Salah, out of Haaland, out of Palmer, out of Watkins. He actually scored. And yeah, unfortunate that he obviously went off injured, because he could have been in for an absolute hatful. We don't know how long he would have got. He would definitely have got an extra 2 points from the appearance and the clean sheet if he'd lasted another 8 minutes. So again, and it looks like he is going to be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks as well of a hamstring. So again, that is not ideal. It is a problem that needs to be moved. And he's made my decision for me. Like, I'm obviously got 2 free transfers heading into this week, and that's one of the ones we'll be talking about. Then Cody Gakpo, what a star. I did say that I didn't want to bench him in the deadline stream, but in the end, the card was right. It said bench Bowen, it said bench Reindeers. It didn't matter in the end. They both would have come on anyway because of the way I did the bench order. But Cody Gakpo, you're not going to believe it. I think I'm benching him this week. But this dude is the only one that's showing up both weeks. So for that reason, I'm very thankful. 2 assists this week, 2 bonus points. Cody Gakpo, adding a little bit of respectability. Ironically, I've actually ended up 1 point more than I did last week, which is just hard to fathom in any way, shape or form. So on to the Game Week 2 card calls. And look, the card has been off to a hot start. In Game Week 1, I got 6 correct calls, 2 draws, and nothing wrong. This week, it's done pretty well again. 5 correct calls this week, 2 wrong, 1 draw. So Haaland versus Watkins, when Watkins ended up in a draw. Saka versus Palmer, it defaulted to Saka, it won that one. Esteve versus Van de Ven, Esteve won that one as well. Semenyo versus Palmer. Palmer, unfortunately, didn't win that one, so that was unfortunate for him. Watkins versus Semenyo, that was an easy call for the card. That was a Semenyo call. Well done to the card there. João Pedro versus Wood, again, easy call for the card. Gordon versus Verts. Now, FPL Andy Nightmare, I'm sure he'll be watching this back, and in the late mail, the card rarely gets it wrong in the late mails. We've seen already this season. Verts was the call, and he smashed Gordon by 4 points. It's just unfortunate Gordon got set up, but if you haven't already, please go and check out Nightmare's video. It is unbelievably class, and it's definitely worth more views, and he's definitely worth more subs as well. Sells versus Dubravka. It got that one wrong, which was annoying for my team because obviously I played Sells over Dubravka based on this card toss, and it cost me 4 points. So the card, it's done some good calls again this week, but it also got a couple wrong for once. So my early reactions for Game Week 3, based on what we have seen in Game Week 2. Now, I have been proven correct through the first 2 game weeks with Salah, the Egyptian king, not being the main man. It's very evident that he's not the main man. And Gakpo has, thankfully, easily covered him so far for 7 million less. Now, I can say that this is a bit lucky. I can put this down to the fact that the card in Game Week 1 deadline stream basically said pick Gakpo instead of Verts in order to get Collins in. Now, that call has become legendary already through 2 game weeks. Verts is on 4 points. Gakpo for my team is on 17. So that is the only saving grace I could say about my Game Week 1 initial picking of the team. But it's worked out very well. And we're going to have a little bit more in depth at Salah a little bit later on in today's show. So keep your eye out for that as well. But it is concerning if you're an owner. If you're a non-owner, you're feeling pretty good about it at the moment. I will admit, I might have been wrong about Spurs. I will admit it. I'm open to sit there, and sometimes I sit there and get things wrong. And I'll openly admit that I think I might have potentially have got Spurs a little bit wrong. But what I would suggest with this is that they've played Burnley at home, and they're definitely going to be the 20th place team. I know they beat Sunderland. I still think Burnley are locked down for being the 20th place team at the end of the season. And they played City. And for whatever reason, Spurs just seem to do City. It doesn't matter if Frank's in charge. It doesn't matter if Ange is in charge. It doesn't matter if Pochettino's in charge. It doesn't matter who's in charge. It seems to be that they just are Pep Guardiola's kryptonite. And I don't know why that is. But again, they did City pretty easily, truth be told. I think the real proof in the pudding will actually be Bournemouth this week, which is why I'm still very tentative about bringing Spurs assets in, because I want to see them against a team that either isn't relegation fodder and isn't what Spurs are to another team's kryptonite. So, I want to see this week before I can safely, convincingly say that. But I will admit, at the moment, through 2 game weeks, I've been horribly wrong. Double Spurs defense has been unbelievably good so far. Will it continue this week? I'm hoping not, because I've got Van Linson in my team. Injuries are beginning. And this is only the beginning of the injuries. I'm telling you, there's so many football games going on now of the extended European competitions and stuff like this. More injuries is inevitable. So this weekend alone, we saw Saka go off injured. We saw Palmer completely miss the game of a groin-related issue. Aït-Nouri obviously went off injured as well. Odegaard went off injured, and so did Ballard. There's plenty more to come, and that is the beauty of FPL. If you just roll transfers and just cop these injuries and wait for your players to come back, you're going to be missing out on points. Your team is not going to be as good as other players that just make the transfers. And this week, I'm back to my aggressive nature. We are going to be making transfers this week. And tonight, we might even be deciding what we do when we do a card toss on what is going to go down and potentially a -4 move. Also, how inconsistent is VAR? I'm sitting there, I'm a Man United fan, right? So I'm not complaining too much because they gave us a penalty for what was pretty charitable. I'll admit, I didn't really think it was overly a penalty. Yes, it looked like a foul, but you don't normally see them giving them the box. But then we scored when Euro literally pushed someone in the back. It was the same kind of thing. It was the same kind of force, and yet VAR didn't rule it out. Now, I'm not complaining because I'm a Man United fan and they gave us the goal. But I feel like Fulham fans should be up in uproar. And also the week before, right? So Arsenal's goal against Man United when Bayern flapped it and was literally the same amount of force went on Bayern from an Arsenal player as it did on, Aston Villa's goalkeeper Martinez in the Brentford game. I would actually argue that Man United's goalkeeper had more contact with him the week before. That wasn't overruled. Then against Brentford, it is overruled. Make it make sense. Honestly, can someone sit there and tell us what their how those two acts of football are any different. Like, they are not different. It should be 1 and 1. They should be the same. It shouldn't be 1 + 1 = 3. It should be 1 + 1 = 2. I don't understand what VAR is doing. It needs to sit there and they need to sort it out ASAP, because it's actually ruining the enjoyment of the games. And it hasn't affected any of my players because I haven't owned any of them. But, like, it's just frustrating to watch. Which team has been the league's biggest letdown so far? Now, you could say it's Aston Villa. You could say it's West Ham. You could say it's Wolves. You could say it's any of those three. You could even say it's Man United. I think there's a few teams, but we're going to look into a couple of them today. And mad fluctuating results are creating chaos. I mean, some of the teams this week that scored ridiculous amounts of points, like, shout out to those people that triple captain Jurriën Timber. I don't know how you arrived at that decision, but I want a bit of whatever you're having in your breakfast, because I'm telling you, those were some legendary GOAT calls. I don't know if you're tossing cards or whatever's going on, but I'm loving it. And congratulations to all those people out there. You are loving life heading into Game Week 3. So, West Ham and Aston Villa, what the hell is going on? What is going on? What is going on with the... I looked at the fixtures and I thought Jarrod Bowen, Ollie Watkins, they play lots of minutes. They're normally pretty good. They're normally consistent. Two very popular assets. Rodgers, you can factor in there as well. Lots of people have West Ham defence, like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Juve. Lots of people have Konza. Maybe even went to cash this week. Fulkrug's obviously an option as well at the 6 million price point. They've all blanked in consecutive weeks. Obviously, Juve did get that 3-point return for the assist. And obviously, Villa did keep a clean sheet in the first game week. But in terms of attacking returns, it's been near and far between. Like, where have they been? So let's have a look at the stats. So Villa, 0.2 expected goals in game week 1. Probably due to the fact that they did go down to 10 men quite early in that second half. 1.19 expected goals in game week 2. What? Against teams that Brentford were rubbish in game week 1, and against Newcastle, everyone kind of expected Villa to do it. And they also looked like they had pretty good form in terms of scoring goals in preseason. Where's it gone? They've scored no goals through 2 games. It's just bizarre. Then we got West Ham, 0.56 expected goals in game week 1 against Sunderland, and then 0.73 expected goals in game week 2 with 1 goal scored. Now, they were very close to 2 goals scored. It was like that far off on the offside, and then Jarrod Bowen would have returned, and so would have Fulkrug. But, like, I don't understand what's going on. The fixtures and minutes, realistically, are actually still not too bad for either of these teams. However, what we've seen so far has been unbelievably bad. Like, Villa look like I've said it a couple of times, like a loaf that's been left in outside and not eaten for like 10 days. They just look so stale, so slow. West Ham's midfield is like a bunch of sloths. I don't understand what's going on. Both teams need to make signings, because I think they're going to be in for a world of pain if they go into game week 4, post the international break with the squads they've got. It's not looking good. And to be honest, I've watched both games from both of these teams, and other than the fact that Chelsea were very entertaining, West Ham have just been poor, and Villa just look like, defensively they've looked okay, I suppose, but attacking-wise, it's been non-existent. I'm not paying 9 million and 8 million, 17 million combined in my forward line for what I'm seeing in these first 2 weeks. And I think a lot of people are going to be in the exact same boat when we've got other options at the 7.5 million and below, or Ekitike slightly above now, pumping out the goals. Even Yoker has got 2 goals on the weekend against Leeds, and I thought that wasn't going to happen. But the thing you do have to remember, though, is Europe does begin. Now, West Ham aren't in Europe, so you don't have to worry about rotation. Aston Villa are, but then other teams where these assets are popping off at the moment, they're all going to be in Europe post the first international break, and that means rotation is coming. And for that reason, maybe they get a stay of execution. So the Brentford assets, my God, was it too early to write them off? And I tell you what, sometimes one player makes a huge difference, or sometimes when you're playing at home, it makes a huge difference. Brentford are one of these teams. They've lost, obviously, some key players this summer. The Wizards still don't know what's going on with that prior to the transfer window closing. He hasn't moved. We still don't know what's going on. Apparently, Newcastle now are bidding for Strand Larsen. Does that mean that Wizards now going to be staying at Brentford? Who really knows? Then, obviously, we've got Mbumo, who's left. We've had Norgard, who's left. We've had Frank, that's left. and they got smacked 3-0 on the opening day against West Ham. Sorry, not against West Ham, against Nottingham Forest. But then they've responded emphatically at home to beat Villa 1-0 in game week 2. So what we learnt last season, the first half of the season, Brentford were significantly better at home than they were away from home. So maybe we're just seeing a continuation of that this year. But what we also need to know is that Damsgaard was back because he missed the first game week because of his partner giving birth to a child. So congratulations to him. And we also didn't see Odango, who debuted in this game against Villa, looked exceptionally threatening, obviously got the goal as well. And Damsgaard would have had a goal as well if it wasn't for what I just talked about before with VAR being inconsistent and overruling the goal. So the other thing to note is that 6 players in Brentford alone in this game got DC points. So they were Collins, Damsgaard, Coyote, Shard, Yarmolik, and Van den Berg. They've got Sunderland away in game week 3. There's no reason to think that they're not good options this week at all. I think a lot of people, myself included, because that's why I benched Collins, wrote him off way too quick and forgot that last year they were really good at home and not so good away from home. Obviously, the Sunderland game is away, but I'm expecting Brentford to show up again. I think that they actually might have some decent assets that are worth looking at. And on to probably the most controversial part of today's show, and that is covering Moh Salah. Now, I think it is the end of the FPL King. I think his time is over. He is slowing up. The play is so different. The stats and the eye test alone are telling us everything. Salah is no longer the main man, or at the moment, the play is not going through him. Whatever way you want to look at it, the stats are alarming. 0 XG against Newcastle and only 0.21 XA. That all pretty much came at the end of the game. And then in the first game of the season, 0.26 XG against Bournemouth and 0.11 XA. And again, he scored and assisted post 90 minutes in both those games. The one good thing is that he's still getting the minutes. He's not being subbed early. He's staying on the whole game, but maybe that's because of the fact that Liverpool have needed him because the game hasn't been wrapped up. It'd be interesting to know if Liverpool were 3-0 up, whether Salah would have stayed on for 90 minutes. But because they weren't, this is what we got. He's obviously got 1 goal and 1 assist for 13 points. Now, if those games had ended 5 minutes earlier, he would be on literally 4 points for the season. Like 4 points for the season at 14.5 mil. To put it into perspective, my coverage, which is Cody Gakpo, 1 goal, 2 assists for 17 points so far. So he's already 4 points ahead of Salah, cost 7 million less. Then we've got Ekitike, 2 goals, 1 assist, 20 points. He's 7 points ahead of Salah. And again, at the start of the season, he cost 6 million less. The new system and the change in personnel around him is not helping Salah. It's very evident that what used to happen with Jota, Nunez, Diaz, and Trent in the team is not happening for him at the moment with all the changes around him. It's very obvious from the first few games, even in the Community Shield, that is the case. So is he worth the 14.5 million asking price? The answer is, I don't think he is. And I said it at the start of the season, I've got nothing to suggest that he's worth it anymore post through the first 2 game weeks. The real question is if you've got him, do you then abort out of him after game week 4? It might be game week 5 after the Everton game potentially, because that's Haaland has Burnley in game week 6. And maybe that is the jump off point. But I'm telling you, I don't see a world where Salah is actually worth that investment at the moment at all in any way, shape or form. Let me know what you think in the comments and whether you're sitting there quite alarmed by what Salah is dishing out at the moment. So on to my Game Week 2 watch list, and look, it has changed significantly from Game Week 1. I've got Sensei and Romero now in the defenders list. Obviously, Ain't Nori's dropped out and Truffett. I just really like them. Sensei's just racked up the DCs in both games. Lacroix, again, was brilliant. Kukurea this time, no clean sheet, but got the assist. Livramento got an assist this week as well after the clean sheet in Game Week 1. And Yoro, after getting DC points last week, got the assist for the goal. It just looks good. They all look really good assets. I like all of them there. Then in the midfielders, Semenyo, back-to-back hauls. Dango looked great for Brentford, as I expected, and I'm very excited about him. No, Ndiaye doesn't make the watch list. It's actually Jack Grealish. All the play was going through him, and he just looks like he's going to be nailing down that left-hand side. He looked good. Sarr, this dude is a big game player, and his record against Aston Villa is incredible, who they play this weekend. Foden is back on the list now. He came off the bench, but I'm expecting after that result that Foden may well end up starting against Brighton. And for that reason, this is a man that I expect to hit top form, and very quickly he has to be in there. And then I've got Kudus in there ahead of Johnson for that Spurs coverage. Spurs are coming up to a really nice fixture run. Then the Pigeon is in there. João Pedro and Mateta come in this week for Strand Larson and whoever else was in there last week. Ekitike, Wood and Haaland, they're all in there. Those are the players I'm interested in for, well, it's not Game Week 2 watch list anymore. It's Game Week 3, but those are all the players that I'm currently looking at for my own team. So Game Week 3, this is how the team lines up without any transfers. So I've got 99.7 million squad value. However, that's likely to change tonight because Jared Bowen is very close to a price drop. He's likely to go to 7.8. I've still got 0.5 in the bank. Saka would obviously drop to the bench because we know he's definitely out. Now, Cole Palmer is probably not going to be playing either. He's still yellow flagged, but I'm expecting there to be bad news for him as well. Obviously, the team itself actually looks pretty good. Defense this week, double Forest defense against West Ham. Obviously, I'm playing Jared Bowen, but I just expect West Ham not to score based on what I've seen the first 2 weeks. Collins obviously goes the way to Sunderland. That looks like a nice fixture. Dorgo and Fernandez have the Burnley at home fixture. At the moment in this particular lineup, Palmer would be the vice captain. Gakpo's obviously got that hard fixture against Arsenal. Reindeers has the Brighton away fixture. Then up front, it's Watkins at home to Palace. Even Ilson away at Tottenham, and obviously Bowen away at Forest. Now, my forwards for the first 2 weeks have combined for 12 points. None of them have returned. There's been no goals, no assists. Do I give them another week or not? De Kuyper drops to the last man on the bench, and I honestly wish at the start of the season I'd gone with Sensei, who I'd originally handed there, but then thought I'd go with the attacking potential with De Kuyper for the first couple of weeks. It hasn't worked out, and I can't waste a transfer there now. Juve also is quite problematic, but the defence just has to live to fight another day. Dubravka is not going anywhere, and Saka obviously is the big problem. So what am I thinking for Game Week 3 at the moment? So there's 3 different options here, and all of them are affordable with my funds and what I'm going to do. So the first option is I move for a Chris Wood short-term punt. For the next 4 weeks, I play him, swap Bowen to Wood, and just go all in on Forest demolishing West Ham. It makes sense. I've also got Sunderland and Burnley in the next 4 as well. That also looks really nice. Saka could then become Damsgaard. The reason why I'd like Damsgaard here is 5.9 million. It covers a Jared Bowen drop that I had before. Damsgaard obviously gets me that 0.1 back, which is actually going to be very critical in terms of moving the following week for like an Erling Haaland or a Salah for Game Week 4. So that doesn't require a hit. Option 1 does not require a hit. Option 2 is Cole Palmer to Dango, who I really like again. You've got that Sunderland fixture straight ahead, looks really nice. And then Saka becomes Cunha, because Cunha obviously has that Burnley fixture straight ahead, also looks really good. Again, it banks me a bunch of money, so then I can bring in Haaland the week after, or move Cunha to Salah the week after as well. So that's also possible. Then option 3, which is the one I'm kind of leaning towards because I am an aggressive manager and I don't mind taking -4s. It's always been part of my strategy, and that would require Cole Palmer to go to Sarr, who has an amazing fixture this week against Villa. He's got a very good record against him. I know that Watkins has a very good record against Brentford and didn't show up last week, but Sarr looks like he's in slightly better form, and so do Palace. Saka would still become Cunha, and then Bowen would become Haaland in a -4. That would leave me with 0.3 million in the bank. And let's have a look how that would actually compute to the lineup this weekend. So using those 3 transfers, this is then how the team would line up. And it looks kind of cool, right? Like all of a sudden I've got really good looking defense, all green fixtures there. Then in the midfield, I've got the double up Man United attack, which some people say you're a Man United fan, you've lost the plot. I don't think I have. Burnley, I think, are going to be swatted aside. This has to be the week where the floodgates open. I actually prefer Cunha as captain based on the form I've seen through the first couple of weeks compared to Bruno. I know that Bruno's got the higher floor, but I think Cunha potentially has the highest. I could easily see Cunha getting a couple of goals in this game. So Cunha captain, Bruno vice. Sarr comes in for that Villa fixture. Reindeers is obviously in there as well. We take Bowen out so my double Forest defence doesn't feel bad playing Jared Bowen. Even Ilson's away at Tottenham, which is probably debatable whether you start him or Gakpo. At the moment, I've lent towards even Ilson. Haaland obviously is in there as well with Watkins. And then it looks really good moving forward. Like I can then address the defence the week after, move for like a Bournemouth defender or someone else that's like going to get me the DC points in that 4.5 million bracket. Probably a little bit more reliable as well. Just opens up so many more avenues. So for that reason, I quite like it. Let me know what you think I should do. Now, I'm going to ask the card the question, is a -4 for these 3 moves the correct call? Yes? No? Oh my God. I think we're doing it, boys. The card has said the D-Unit should do it. So I've been ignoring the card, as everyone knows, the last couple of weeks to the detriment of my own team. This is the week where I think I do it. The card is a love obsession with Cunha, so I do have to take that into account. Potentially it's leading me down a garden path. But at -4, I think I need to lock in probably tonight because Jarrett Bowen will be dropping in price and I need to do all 3 moves in order to get that, to catch those price rises. I know it's a little bit dangerous with lots of games going on midweek. I've just got to take a plunge. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Thankfully, the bench still looks really good, even if someone does get injured. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm excited. That's what I think the team might look like come Friday afternoon when I do my team selection video. So that's my early reactions and transfer plans. Let me know what you think. Is the card right? Should I take a -4 and do those 3 moves I've just said? Let me know in the comments. I'm intrigued to know whether you are on board with the card and my own line of thinking. If the cards tell me to do it, surely I just back in the card at this moment in time and just go with it. It does sound like a good idea, right? Again, if you've enjoyed that and the commentary around it and all the insight I've given, please leave me a like, leave me a comment. Please share it on your social media, on X as well. And if you haven't already, please help me grow the channel by smashing that subscribe button. 3,000 is fast coming into sight. Let's help me get there. And I will see you tomorrow for differentials to boost your game week rank. That's been FPL D-Unit.